Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and here with my brief thoughts on Happy Death Day. This was directed by Christopher Landon. It was released in 2017, and it starred Jessica Rothe and Israel Broussard, among others. Christopher Landon's going to be a busy boy this year. Not only does he have Hard Eyes, which he has written, coming out this weekend, but he's also got a movie called Drop coming out in a few weeks that I'm really looking forward to. But to join me in covering Happy Death Day, I've got my friend Kyle from Flet's Pop Culture 13. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a huge fan of Happy Death Day. I thank you for the invite. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Happy Death Day. It's directed by Christopher Landon, who written Disturbia. He's the son of Michael Landon, and Happy Death Day. He knows how to, really direct a really good mystery type movie that keeps you guessing who the killer is. And I think this is a unique concept on Happy Death Day, especially how she has to keep dying every time just until she figures out who's actually killing her. I think this is a cool aspect, especially it takes inspiration from a Groundhog Day, but in the horror version. So I'm happy to
We
be here
will
for sure.
we will definitely get to that, but I'm actually covering the Lord of the Rings movies over on Kyle's channel, so if you want to see me talk over there, give him a subscribe. I mean, he's got tons of great content. He interviews actors, people. Like he just I don't know if this has happened yet, but he's going to be interviewing Dick Warlock, or if that has happened yet, this is awkward. I apologize, but Kyle interviews famous people. So that should be enough to go give him a subscribe. So go and do it.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet, but it's happening soon. But yeah, if you're looking those type of interviews, go look for that because there's more coming out to Dick Warlock. Especially there's a couple bigger ones coming this year. Well, now it's later on. So,
Absolutely. But the movie tells the story of a young woman named Tree, played by Jessica Roth, who is going to college. She's got things going on. However, on her way from a college party, she is stalked and killed by a killer wearing a baby mask. And as soon as she is stabbed, she wakes up and she lives the day over and over and over again. So, like Kyle was talking about, this is essentially a horror movie version of Groundhog Day. So, from that premise alone, I was looking forward to it because Groundhog Day is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I was secretly like wondering why they had never done something like this before because the time loop format can work. I mean, Groundhog Day, obviously. I'll throw Edge of Tomorrow in there too. I mean, that's pretty much Groundhog Day, but like an alien invasion movie if you want to get super technical about it.
uh-huh.
And I think there's nowhere near enough people talking about Happy Death Day. And I think in many ways this movie is underrated, I feel like.
It's one of the most underrated movies, and then it really introduced us to Christopher Landon as a director. I think Jessica Rothe is a very talented actress, and yeah, she definitely lives through the day. Especially every time she wakes up, there's the guy Carter always in that corner, and then later on explains what he was doing down there all that time. But I love the fact that she has to keep dying until she figures it out, and eventually it starts to hurt her. She thinks the serial killer, played by Rob Mello, who I have interviewed on my channel as well, um, is the serial killer. But I love the twist of the movie. I love that it has a mystery aspect to it, Ryan. That's the very cool part. You're not just guessing who the killer is right off the bat. This like makes you guess. You're like, oh, maybe that person or that person or that person. And I love the way it's the baby face mask. I think it fits perfect well with the story and the performances. Makes us win. There's some really funny moments, but there's some serious moments as well. They don't hold back on the kills either.
Come to find out, the mask for the killer was created by a man named Tony Gardner, who had created the ghost face mask for every Scream film. And
Yeah.
in an interview, he said that he had just become a father for the first time. He had babies on the brain, and so basically he just came up with the mask. And I don't know about you, Kyle, but this face just always looked super creepy to me. It just, the big eyes and like the cheeks and like the one
Yeah.
tooth. I'm just in like, this is subtly a very creepy look.
Yeah. And it is a very creepy look. I think, because they took inspiration, from the 2001 Valentine a little bit, but took that mask and turned into something that I think even more creepier. and it's supposed to look funny, but they kind of edge it up, make them like a little creepy. So I think it's very cool, especially I'm not if you noticed, Ryan, but they also do inspiration to Michael Myers in this movie when he does the head tilt a little bit.
And I can definitely see that. And another element I loved is that because the mascot of the college is a baby, there's baby masks everywhere. So it's kind of a situation where it's kind of like Scream, where the Scream mask is a very common, it's based on the Edvard Munch painting Scream, where you're going like this. So it's a
Yeah.
very common Halloween mask. And so I love the idea of this could literally be anyone because it's not some lovingly crafted like thing that this person came up with. It's probably just something the killer just grabbed off of a table on this campus somewhere and just like, oh, this'll do, puts it on. There's something about that that I like the homemadeness of it all, for lack of a better term.
And two, yeah, and I think it's very cool. And she, when she finally figures she might think it's a serial killer, I think one of my favorite moments too of the movie is when remember when he kills she he kills Carter and she realized, oh crap, I gotta die again so I can bring him back. I thought that was a cool aspect to it. And then yeah, I think the twist in this is very cool. And it does and this is that and there's even a good soundtrack in this movie too, I think. And if there's some really good eerie themes going on there that fits the scenes very well.
This movie it kind of ruined Into Club by 50 Cent for me for a few years because of like, Shorty, it's your birthday. And then like, oh yeah,
Oh,
well,
because your phone. Yeah, it's your birthday. Yeah, that
absolutely.
I was like, oh yeah, that got annoying after a while. You're hearing that. I'm like, oh, come
Yeah, there's more in the cast though, besides Jessica Roth, though she is very good.
on.
Israel
Yeah.
Broussard I thought was very good. I believe you mentioned Ruby Modine, or you mentioned someone I couldn't, or
Rob Mello, who played,
Rob
yeah.
Mello, excuse me. But he was particularly creepy. This is a pretty small cast, like just based on the on what I'm reading off of here. One, two, three, four, five, six,
Who's the
seven.
one that plays Danielle? What's her name? Can picture it.
Rachel
Anna's.
Matthews.
Okay, she does a good job too playing that character, especially if we ever if you ever get to the sequel, she's pretty funny. But we're talking about the original, the moment. So, and there's even tackling, the more the sorority aspect, of that too in there. Like so,
And
um,
I also appreciate that Tree is not a saint. Like she's got problems. She's been
no,
doing some let's just say, and I won't spoil it here, but let's just say she's been doing some questionable things, and let's just leave it at that.
oh yeah,
There's
we know the principal things if you've seen the movie.
very questionable. So, but the movie also does a good job of kind of like with Groundhog Day, and I hate to keep bringing Groundhog Day up, but I mean, with a movie like this, with this concept, I don't think I can really not talk about it, but how Phil Connors starts out as an egotistical ass, and by the end, he's actually a really likable guy. I feel like not as extreme, but Tree goes through a similar thing where she starts out as like someone you really wouldn't want to hang out with to like completely rooting for her by the end. And I feel like that's a testament to like how good the movie is, where she starts in one place, but by the end you're like, yeah, you need to get this guy for real.
For sure. And I even love this scene that, I think remember she does so many things so she could keep dying, especially when she drinks something off the shelf, or the police officer, and she's like, "Oh crap!" I love the scene where the lights the cupcake that comes into play later on, but lights cup blows her up, and after a while she realizes she can't die, and then she realizes, um, yeah, so many things, and even the aspect of when she keeps visiting her dad comes to more into a proper place later on too. So
More of Tree's family is explored in the sequel, which we won't get into
yeah,
here. I would like to talk about the sequel one day, but just let's not get too off task here.
no,
But
no.
Tree is a three-dimensional character that you end up rooting for in the end, and that's something that a lot of horror movies just don't do. So I did appreciate.
No, I agree because you don't see that often where the character starts off the way they start and then you grow to love them. They did that in Chucky to a certain character as well. So, but we won't talk about that. So, but
Exactly.
they don't do that often. But I think Christopher Landon did very well. I love his directing. There's some really good, cool camera work in this too, and some very funny lines. And they do reference Groundhog towards the end too. So,
They do. And well, I guess like you were talking about, Kyle, this movie's a very compelling mystery in that just when you think you got it figured out, there's something that's like, oh, and then like for me personally, it's rare when I'm like be like, oh wow, I legit did not see that coming. Like I maybe
especially,
had an idea,
especially
but not to the degree that it ended up
no,
going.
and especially especially after she eats something, and then you're like, wait, how did she die? Like, she was just doing this. You know what I mean? She takes a bite of a cupcake, and then she's up top, like, okay, how did she die? She's back in her bed. We didn't see what killed her, and I'm like, oh, shavers.
It's
That
like
was something I did not see.
it's a Twilight Zone level twist, and I did appreciate that very much as a huge fan of that show.
Yeah, I think even the title gene is Happy Death Day. Well, it is because she keeps dying. it's, it's I love the concept.
I'm surprised like no one has come up with like someone like even in the 80s when we had movies like New Year's Evil or like something like that. I'm surprised no one did like a Happy Death Day in like 85 or 6.
No, nobody was actually really well, we had our slasher films and they had mystery, right? But nobody did a slasher film like this. And I think Christopher Landon, upped the game a little bit for when it came to the slasher films. And that's why we're starting to get some of the films now. And this one really definitely, I think upped the ante for what you can do in a slasher film. And that was a cool concept, like I said. So
And like Kyle and I have been alluding to, this did end up getting a sequel called Happy Death Day to You, and have I have not seen that movie in ages, so I don't want to comment here, but what I will say is that from what I remember liking it. But again, I have not seen it in a good long while.
all I'm gonna say, it takes more inspiration from Back to the Future, and that's all I'm teasing.
Yeah, I know what happens, so I know what Kyle's talking about, but for the sake of not spoiling it, let's just say if like all that was missing was a DeLorean, and let's just leave it at that. But
Yeah, that would be
for,
cool.
for me personally, I'm giving this an amazing grade. It is honestly shocking that 7 years, no, coming up on 8 years on from when this was released, more people aren't talking about this. And this is a Blumhouse movie. Like Blumhouse used to do quality
This is
stuff.
when Blumhouse was Blumhouse. Now I don't know what the hell they're doing. So
They're not doing a whole lot of much,
no,
but
that's just a nice way of saying it.
Blumhouse used to be good, guys. I know it's hard to believe, but trust us, they actually used to be very
They
good at
start off
this.
good.
Very good, extremely underrated. Like, take Kyle and I's word for it, it is quite good indeed. But and it makes me very excited for Drop, which is a movie that he is outright directing, that being Christopher Landon. He's writing Hard Eyes, he's not directing it, but I
No,
imagine Landon's fingerprints are going to be all over that one.
but even by the track, I can tell. Okay, this is definitely Landon right here because I can see the information from his previous movies he's done, especially Happy Death Day.
But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of Happy Death Day? If you have seen it, let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. Kyle,
Oh,
thank you so much for joining me.
I want to mention was the killer at the end, or dude?
I'd prefer not to.
Oh, okay.
I think it'd be fun to just leave everybody in suspense.
Okay, sounds good. Just want to make sure.
We've kept it spoiler free up to this point, so it doesn't really make any sense to divulge that.
No,
But like I said, just find the movie and watch it. It's on streaming. Just go and watch it for yourselves. It is
yeah,
quite good.
casting's great, directing's great, the mystery's great, the whole movie's great. So check it out yourself
But
if you haven't already.
Ky- Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. Where can the people find you?
Well, they can find me on Flat Movies Pop Culture 13. I just dropped an Urban Legend video today. 90s slasher film. So you can go check that out, folks. But you can catch Ryan on Friday when we're doing by the time this drops, whenever this drops. By this Friday though, he'll be catch him on the channel. We're doing a Spider-Man 2 watch party. We're also joined by Jake Collins, Matt Wyatt, and then of course this Saturday, Riley from Slash and Cast will be joining me for top 10 horror films 2000s, and then me and Mr. Hot Taker to be watch party and reviewing Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So a lot of stuff coming in, interviews, but we are coming in as well. So stay tuned, people.
Definitely give him a subscribe. He definitely deserves it. But as far as this channel goes, if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe. I got a lot of stuff coming up. The David Lynch project just kicked off, so stay tuned for updates surrounding that. For for Kyle, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.